Today is a grim day for our enemies. They face us. They must know they only have moments left to live. Bravery is in every warrior's heart. Bravery and more. Every warrior knows bravery and knows that he who runs answers not only to me, but to the gods.
So, Rome Total War got itself a remaster. But how is it? Is it worth your time? Is it worth your time if you've never played Rome Total War? Is it worth your time if you played it back in the day and loved it? I'm just going to share my thoughts on it in this video and you can make of it what you will. One of the first things you'll notice is that all the people look different. That's one of the cool things they've done with this remaster. No faces are the same. At least two people stood next to each other will not look the same. There's loads of variables. So hopefully that's a feature that'll make it over into future Total Wars. Although this remaster is done by a company called Feral, not CA themselves, I believe. But yeah, just going to do a little custom battle here. Germania, who I'm playing as, against Rome. Got my Berserker boys, you know I love those Viking style factions. So we're going to take on Rome and see if I can win. But to be honest here, I didn't really play Rome Total War back in the day when it came out. I was too young to really understand it. I do remember playing it very briefly, but I didn't have a clue what was going on, so I just left it alone. And also, I've only put a few hours into this remaster of playing it, so don't take my opinions as gospel or anything, as you shouldn't anyway. But I'll just tell you about my experience with it as someone who is much more used to modern Total Wars rather than the old ones. Because I think that's a much more relatable position, because a lot of people didn't play these older Total Wars. They've only come in since the more modern ones, maybe Rome 2 onwards, maybe just Warhammer. I think the gist of it though is very simple. If you're someone who played Rome Total War back in the day and you loved it, you're going to love this. It's going to be a nice piece of nostalgia for you to go back and play the game in an updated fashion. You can see it's got all the nice new UI. The controls have been updated so it plays just like a modern Total War, Warhammer or Three Kingdoms. But the game is still fundamentally the same. It's a remaster, not a remake. So most of it's just updating the systems that are already there. There is some new stuff, like they've added a merchant agent, which wasn't in the original game apparently. So there's a few little things they've actually added to the game, which is kind of cool. And obviously the graphics have been overhauled somewhat as well. So there's lots of nice improvements for those who are coming back and who will look forward to this. I think they're going to love it. But here we go with our Germanian army. The controls feel nice and smooth. It's just like playing Warhammer or Three Kingdoms, to be honest. It's all nice and modern. Because that was one of the problems with the older Total Wars. Because they're so dated, the control systems are pretty bad, even up to Shogun 2. I think Rome 2 is where it kind of sorted out, and army movement was a little bit more fluid, shall we say. But honestly, in these Rome battles, I don't really know what I'm doing. I know that obviously it's going to work like a Total War. There's unit matchups and all this stuff, but I don't know what units are good. I'm not entirely sure what the stats are. I'm facing Romans though. They're going to be tough. Got some Triarii. All the models looking nicely updated. Nice and shiny. With some classic Total War. There's people who would say modern Total Wars aren't really Total War games and these older ones are really what Total War is all about. But I did manage to mod in some Razor Gore herd here. Got some pigs with heavy armor piercing damage. Of course that is a joke. These are flaming pigs. How have all these people died? Did I shoot them or have they just run over each other? I'm not quite sure. Either way, they do advance on me. I've got some javelins up front. I've got a lot of berserkers. I have no idea how this is going to go. I have no idea about factions in Rome Total War. So how you felt the first time you played Total War Warhammer, that's how I feel right now. I don't really know what's happening. I've got a unit card. I do have some stats. I guess they're going to function the same as usual, but I'm just going to charge in. Let's get some cav in. Hit those. We'll get our berserkers and our two-handed axe fellows in there. I got some skirmishers as well. I think they're okay in melee too, but I'm not really sure. Got some doggos, although I think I forgot to give the Romans any archers, so I don't really have much use for the doggos. So you can see this is a well thought out battle. But I think what I found with Rome Remastered overall is I enjoyed the battles. I enjoyed the open field land battles. They feel cool, they feel tactical, much like the older ones do. But one place that battles were pretty bad and pretty frustrating was sieges. Even if the small towns, the units struggle to get around them effectively. You click an order and then it takes them about 10 hours to actually figure out how to walk around a corner. It's a little bit frustrating, which is how it was in the original Total War Rome, I believe. So yeah, as a player of the more modern Total Wars where things respond a lot better and a lot quicker, that was quite frustrating. But if you're used to it from the old version, you probably won't mind so much. As for campaign, it is going to be similar to what you've known before, but if you didn't know it before like me, it kind of felt like I was learning a whole new game, which I don't really have time for. I don't really want to learn a whole nother strategy game. Even though it's still Total War, it's kind of similar, but Obviously there's lots of differences from how Total Wars are now and how this one works, especially with things like recruitment and stuff like that. There's no garrison armies and settlements and things, so it's just very different feeling, and for me, a little more than I want to put the time into learning. So if you want to find out more about the Total War Rome campaigns, go and find somebody else who knows more about what they're talking about with it, because there's lots of YouTube guys that played this back in the day. They know it like the back of their hand, far better than I'll be able to do any justice, so I won't talk about that too much. I do still enjoy historical Total Wars, but I think honestly if I'm going to play this kind of era, I'll just play Rome 2, as it is basically the same thing, just more modern and updated. Like, I'd like to play Medieval 2 more, but because it's all quite dated and old, and you know, the control systems and the graphics and everything else are just old, I find it hard to play. I know some people don't care and they actually like that. For me though, I think I'm a bit spoiled by the modern Total Wars, Warhammer, Three Kingdoms, Troy. Only joking, fuck Troy. So yeah, that's just my personal take on it. Of course, this Rome Remaster is addressing some of that. It is being modernized for people like me who didn't play it the first time round. So maybe I will give it a proper try and get into it at some point. But for now, I'd probably just rather try and play Rome 2 anyway. And I kind of wish they remastered Medieval 2 instead, because that has no alternative. There's no Medieval 3 yet. Whereas Rome at least has Rome 2. Or even Shogun 2, which is probably one of the slightly more modern ones, but things like the controls and stuff could really do with an update. But hey, I won't complain about Shogun 3 either. As for this battle, somehow I've won. I don't really know what I did. I pretty much just charged my berserkers into everything, and they seem to take care of everybody. We haven't really lost too many men at all somehow. So apparently I'm a Rome Total War pro. Who knew? But let me know what you think. Are you excited for the Rome Remaster? Did you play it before or didn't you? Are you one of those Total War purists who thinks Total War Rome and Medieval 2 are the real Total Wars? And what is it about those Total Wars that isn't so good about newer Total Wars? I'm curious to how people see things. And I, like many of you, are very curious to see where historical Total War goes next. We've had Three Kingdoms, which was okay, great campaigns, but not so good in the battles in my opinion. We've had the two saga titles, Britannia and Troy, both of which have failed well. So what's going to be next? Personally, I'm hoping for Medieval 3. I did enjoy what I played of Medieval 2 a long time ago, but it was just too dated for me, and there's a lot of people I think that would love Medieval 3, and I think that would actually do really well. But it has to be an actual historical title, not one with powerful heroes like Three Kingdoms was. That kind of worked for Three Kingdoms because of how the novel portrayed some of the heroes, but of course you had the classic mode, so you didn't have to play with the powerful heroes, you could play it more like a traditional Total War. But I hope it goes back to that, a no single entities Total War, which is all about tactical commanding of troops, rather than one single OP hero killing half an army. They're obviously trying to make Total War more accessible as a game to get more players and to get more fans of the game, but hopefully they can do that without alienating the old original fanbase. But anyway, let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the future.